Yes, good morning, students. In my last class, we discussed about international monetary system. Here, we will discuss another topic: International Monetary Fund. I said in my last class itself, it is the child of Bretton Woods Committee or Bretton Woods meeting, and after the just end of Second World War, there was twin institutions for to maintain international liquidity. Their purpose is mainly to maintain international liquidity as well as to settle international financial matters. So, uh, with different area to cover, these two institutions emerged. One is International Monetary Fund. So, how it is working, what are the ideas, what are the objectives, everything that we are going to discuss today, and what are the functions that carry to maintain the international liquidity. This one also we will discuss later on. The International Monetary Fund, also called the Fund, is an international monetary institution established by 44 nations under the Bretton Woods Agreement of July 1944. The principal aim was to avoid the economic mistakes of the 1920s, 1920s and 1930s. The attempts of many countries to return to the old gold system after the post-World War was miserably failed. The World Depression of the 30s forced every country to abandon the gold standard. This led to the adoption of purely nationalistic policies whereby almost every country imposed trade restrictions. This further brought a market decline in the world trade and extension of depressions. It was against this background that 44 nations assembled at the United Nations Monetary Fund and Financial Conference at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire of USA from 1st July to 22nd July 1944. Thus, the IMF was established to promote economic and financial cooperation among its members in order to facilitate the expansion and balanced growth of world trade. It started functioning from 1st March 1947. In June 1996, the fund had 181 members. Uh, uh, Objectives of the fund. The fundamental purposes and objectives of the fund had been laid down in Article 1 of the original Article of Agreement, and they have been upheld in the two amendments that were made in 1969 and 1978 to its basic character. Objectives I would like to discuss this one in brief. To promote international monetary cooperation through a permanent institution which provides the machinery for consumption and collaboration in international monetary problems. To facilitate the expansion and balanced growth of international trade and to contribute thereby to the promotion and maintenance of high levels of employment and real income and to the development of the productive resources of all members as primary objective of economic policy. To promote exchange stability, to maintain orderly exchange arrangements among members and to avoid exchange depreciation, to assist in the establishment of a multilateral system of payments in respect of current transactions between member and in the elimination of foreign exchange reserve restrictions which hamper the growth in the world trade. Next one, to lend confidence to members by making the fund's resources available to them under adequate safeguards, thus providing them with the opportunity to correct maladjustments in their balance of payments without resorting to measures destructive of national and international balance of payments of members. Finally, in accordance with the above, to shorten the duration and lessen the degree of disequilibrium in the international balance of payments of members. These are the some basic objectives of this IMF. So we will come back to the functions of the fund. To fulfill the above objective, the IMF performs the following functions. The IMF operates in such a way as to fulfill its objectives as laid down in the Bretton Woods Articles of Agreements. It is the fund's duty to see that these provisions are observed by member countries. Some of the provisions of the original articles, such as relating to exchange rates, have become obsolete due to international monetary events. The fund gives short term loans to its members so that they may correct their temporary balance of payments of disequilibrium. Next one, the fund is regarded as the guardian of good conduct in the sphere of balance of payments. It aims at reducing tariffs and other trade restrictions by the member countries. So, to bring some coordinations, the IMF would like to reduce the trade restrictions among the member countries. The fund also renders technical advice to its members on monetary and fiscal policies. It conducts research studies and publishes them in IMF staff paper, finance and development, etc. It provides technical experts to member countries having BOP difficulties and other problems. Finally, it also conducts short training courses on fiscal, monetary, and balance of payments for personal firm members nations through its central banking services development, the Physical Affairs Department, the Bureau of Statistics, and the IMF institutions. Organization and structure of the fund. I just brief it here. The second amendment of the Articles of Agreement made important changes in the organization and structure. As such, the structure of the fund consists of a board of governors, an executive board, a managing director, a council, and staff with its headquarters in Washington, USA. There are ad hoc and standing committees appointed by the Board of Governors and the Executive Board, interim committee, monetary and financial committee appointed by the Board of Governors. Governors and Executive Board are decision-making organs of fund. The Board of Governors is at the top in the structure of the fund. It is composed of one governor and one alternative governor appointed by each member. The Board of Governors, which has now 24 members, meets annually, in which details of the fund activities for the previous year are presented. Special meetings can be convened by any of the 5 members having 25% of the total voting rights. The Executive Board has 21 members at present. 5 executive directors are appointed by the 5 members, that is, they are USA, UK, Germany, France, and Japan. Having the largest quotas, Saudi Arabia is appointed as 6th executive director by being one of the 2 largest contributors to the fund. There is a managing director of the fund who is selected by the executive directors. He is usually a politician or an important international official. He is the non-voting chairman of the executive board. The chairman of the executive board, the managing director, is head of the fund staff and is responsible for its organization and appointment and dismissals. The executive board is the most powerful organ of the fund and exercises vast powers conferred on it. The articles of agreements and delegated to it by the Board of Governors, so its powers relate to all funds activities, including its regulatory, supervisory, and financial activities. The interim committee IMFC was established in the October 1947 to advise the Board of Governors on supervising the management and adoption of international monetary system in order to avoid disturbances that might threaten it. It currently has 22 members. The Development Committee was also established in October 1974 and consists of 22 members. It advises and reports to the Board of Governors on all aspects of transfer of real resources to developing countries and make suggestions for their implementations. Now we will come back to the working of the fund. What are the main works that is carried by the IMF? The IMF has amended its policy in keeping with the changing world economic situation related to its capital structure, quota, procedures, lending, exchange rates, and other policies from time to time. Financial sources, quotas, and other their fixation. The fund has general account based on quotas allotted to its members. When a country joins this fund, It is designed to quota that governs the size of its subscription, its voting power, and its drawing rights. At the time of formation of IMF, each member was required to pay 25% of its quota in gold or 10% of its net official holdings of gold and US dollars, whichever way less. Under the Second Amendment, effective 1st April 1978, 25% of members' quota payable in gold was substituted by SDRs, that is special drawing rights, or usable currencies. And fund borrowings. Besides performing regulatory and consultancy functions, the fund is an important financial institution. The bulk of its financial resources comes from quota subscription of member countries. Besides, it increases its funds by selling gold to members. And third one, fund lending. The fund has a variety of facilities for lending its resources to member countries. Lending by the fund is linked to temporary assistance to members in financing a disequilibrium in their balance of payments on current account. If a member has less currency with the fund with its quota, the difference is called reserve tranche. Credit tranches. A member can draw further annually from balance quota in 4 installments up to 100% of its quota from credit tranches. Credit tranches are conditional because the members have to satisfy the fund of adopting a variable program to ensure financial stability. Other credit facilities. Mainly buffer stock financing facility. It was created in 1969 for financing commodity buffer stock by member countries. The facility is equivalent to 305 of the borrowing member quotas. Extended Fund Facility EFF. It is another specialized facility which was created in 1974 under EFF. The fund provides credit to member countries to meet their balance of payments, deposits for longer periods, and in amounts larger than their quotas under normal credit facilities. Supplementary Financing Facility. It was established in 1977 to provide supplementary financing under extended or standby arrangements to member countries to meet serious balance of payment deficit that are all large in relation to their economics and their quotas. I hope that students can understand these are all the facilities provided to maintain international liquidity. That is the most important things. If there is, if you can maintain international liquidity properly, monetary liquidity properly, then the rest of things will work smoothly. So another plan is Structural Adjustment Facility. The fund set up SAF in March 1986 to provide consistent adjustment to the poorer developing countries. Under it, loans are granted to them to solve balance of payments problems and to carry out medium-term macroeconomic and structural adjustment programs. Enhanced Structural Adjustment Facility. The EASF was created in December 1987 with SDR 6 billion of resources for medium-term financing needs to low-income countries. The objective, eligibility, and basic programs features of this facility are similar to that of SAF. Compensatory and Contingency Financing Facility. The CCFF was created in August 1988 to provide timely compensation for temporary shortfalls. In 1990, the fund introduced an import elements into CCFF for a temporary period upon the end up to the end of 1991 to help member overcome to the Gulf crisis. Next one, this Systematic Transformation Facility. In April 1993, the IMF established STF with $6 billion to help Russia and Central Asian republics to face balance of payments crisis. Emergency Structural Adjustment Loans. The fund established ESAL facility in early 1999 to help the Asian and Latin American countries inflicted with the financial crisis. Contingency Credit Line. The CCL was created in April 1999 to protect fundamentally sound countries from the contingents of financial crisis occurring in other countries rather from domestic policy weaknesses. Then some other things, exchange rates. The original fund agreement provided that the par value of each member country was to be expressed in terms of gold, certain weight and fitness or US dollars. To underlying idea was to create system of stable exchange rates with orderly cross rates. And other facilities, the IMF advises its member countries on various problems concerning their BOP and exchange rate problems, and on a monetary and physical issues. It sends specialists and experts to help solve BOP and exchange rate problems of member countries. And of course, definitely there are a number of criticisms against this IMF. I would like to just summarize the criticisms against this IMF. The IMF has been severely criticized in recent years for mishandling global financial crisis in East Asia and Latin America, aggravating poverty in developing countries, encouraging bad policy by government and financial investors, and favoring the developing countries. Of course, definitely there is a type of arguments are always there, because some dominant countries are always dominating in this respect. So what are the other ideas? Fund conditionality is there, high interest rates. Interest rate is not good for the developing countries. And second rule, lack of resources. That is always there for the IMF, because huge amounts are being demanded by different countries, but it is not possible to fulfill the needs. And failure to maintain exchange rate stability is also not easy. So the problems are leveled against carried to the IMF. Discriminatory politics. That is what things happen. Responsible for Asia crisis too. And I don't like to go in detail about that. India and IMF. This is one thing. Before that, I have to summarize the world economics point of view. That IMF definitely is playing a very important role. However, everything is not good for the world. So some partiality, some amount of criticisms is always common. So Indian context, India is one of the founder members of IMF. It is signed the fund agreement on 1945 till 1970. India's quota in the fund was fifth, and it had the power to appoint a permanent executive director. With the increase in the fund quota after May 1970, the quota of Japan, Canada and Italy increased more than that of India. Accordingly, India ceased to hold a permanent position as executive director of the fund. India has been one of the major beneficiaries of the fund assistance. It has been getting aid for the various fund agencies from time to time, and has been regularly repaying its debt. Between 1947 to 1955, India borrowed nearly $100 million twice to tide over its balance of payments difficulties. Besides receiving loans to meet deficit in its balance of payments, India has benefited in certain other aspects from the members' fund. India also a member of IBRD, from which it has been receiving financial aid for its various development projects. So we have very good rapport with the IMF. They are providing a good resource of the Indian economy. Of course, we are always demanding more from IMF. Even more developments are always shorter. So on that angle, IMF should contribute even more to India. Whatever it may be, IMF is struggling very hard and doing a lot of work in maintaining international liquidity and maintaining international balance of payments of different countries, of developing countries as well as developed countries. So overall, in respect of economic and monetary point of view, IMF is contributing a lot to the world economy. So with these words, I conclude this talks. Of course, I got from some sources from internet also. As usual, I thank to you all the students to hearing me, and also Fakir Swami Hirayman. Thank you, students. If you have any doubts in this aspect, you can ask me over the phone, or you contact me in the mobile too. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me. I'll come out with another IVRD. That's the final topics, I hope. So that we will conclude the syllabus tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you.